Welcome to Bay Talks Podcast. My name is Shaquana Shotwell. I am your host. And here, what we do at Bay Talks Podcast, we help you break toxic cycles, heal childhood trauma, and build healthy relationships. I am so excited today. I have a very special guest with me today. This is my best friend, you guys, of over 25 years. And her name is Dr. Elysa Graham of Integrity Health for Wellness. So, Elysa, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. And yes, as Shaquana said, we have been friends for over 25 years. I will never enumerate that again because it officially makes us old. So I will be leaving that out for all future conversations. I do want to just say thank you so much to Shaquana for having me on tonight. Tonight's topic is such a great topic, and Shaquana has such a unique insight on how she just connects the dots to our everyday issues to mental health. So I love how she, asked me to help make the connection between breast cancer and mental health, and that's no different. So I'm excited to share a few facts on this topic tonight, and I'll start by telling you guys a little bit about me. I'm Dr. Elysa Graham. I'm a certified family nurse practitioner, and I must really like school because I'm always in it. I've been in healthcare probably since I was 18. I, went to FAMU, go Rattlers, and after a year of that, I needed my money a little bit quicker. So I, I enlisted in the Army at that time. And that was really an experience. I spent 13 years active duty Army and had lots and lots of jobs. Started off as a pharmacy tech when we were in the middle of OIF, OEF at Walter Reed Army Medical Center in DC. So if you want to know about Army medicine, that's one of the best places to be. We did lots of things, leech therapy, maggot therapy. We were having air vacs every day. So that was really an experience. And that's when I first decided that I wanted to be a nurse, right? There was an ambulance. There was this really cool ICU nurse hopping off with all of her crap. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want to do that. And that's what started me on my journey. Little did I know all of what she was actually doing. But I just stayed hungry, kept asking questions. And, 3 degrees later, here we are. And now I reside in Greensboro, North Carolina with my husband, and I have 2 sons who are asleep if they know what's good for them. And, I have my own practice here, and, I love family practice. I love, taking care of those everyday issues, that people experience, and just taking a patient from a state of illness to a state of health. And I think we're all, just trying to be a healthier version of ourselves. So it's really natural for me, in that respect. So yeah, I'm happy to be here tonight.
Awesome. And we're happy to have you. So let's get straight into these questions. So, our first question is, how does breast cancer affect women in the U.S.?
So women in the United States, when I looked at the statistics on this, I was just taken aback. I couldn't believe that 1 in 39 women are affected by breast cancer. And what that really meant to me is that we all know somebody. Not only do we know them, but we know them by name. We can call their names out, and we can probably call more than a few of them. So for me, I was just really, really just taken aback at how many people are actually affected. In the United States, this year alone, we will have almost 300,000 cases of new invasive breast cancer. And
Wow.
that's just a lot. 50,000 of them will be an invasive carcinoma, and that's one of the more severe forms. And there's going to be about 43,000 women, according to the American Cancer Society's estimates, who are unfortunately going to lose their battle, against this, disease. It's the leading cause of death, only trumped by lung cancer. And I hope with, all the non-smoking campaigns out there, that even decreases. But I would say, in the United States, we all know someone, who has it. And as we age, the risk increases.
Wow. So, how would those risks increase as we age? What would be some factors?
So really the factors that, increase our risk for breast cancer as we age is strictly hormonal. As we age, our hormones change, and that is what creates that increased risk, for the disease process. And then we think about any cancer. Cancer really is, coming from a degradation of the cells. So over time, the cells are not as spry as it used to be. I think we can akin this to maybe our knees when we're trying to kind of do some things and bend down low, or maybe opening a door again and again and again and again and again. Over time, you'll have that wear and tear, and it's just not as young as it used to be.
You're right. We do like to bend down low. So, for the people that's not so, I forgot there's a little delay, you guys, in the broadcast. So, for some of the people that may not know all about hormones and how hormones affect women, because as women, we hear men say a lot, oh, she's hormonal. We throw that word around. But what exactly does that mean? Like, what are the hormones that are affected and how does that change for us?
Well, I think, the major hormones are the estrogen and the progesterone. And, once we like go into what's menopause, and that's where we're not really, in those childbearing years anymore, we lose some of those protective hormones that maybe keep us safer when we're younger. And I'm not saying that young women don't get breast cancer, because they do. It's just when you're older, your risk for that increases. And it's a couple of things that work together to increase your risk. So it's the wear and tear of the cells. It's the loss of some of those hormones that you don't need anymore, right? Because you're not making babies, and well, there's science, but in general, nature said that you're not making babies anymore. And you just lose those protective, options.
Okay. Okay. So on to my next question, because then we can just go right into that. So what are some preventative measures that women can take to prevent breast cancer, if there are any?
So that's a great question. And I love how you concluded with if there are any, because some things we just can't change.
Hmm.
And when I look at that question, I think about there being some modifiable risk factors and non-modifiable risk factors. And what I really mean by this is there are some things that we can affect related to our breast cancer risk and prevention, and there are some
Hmm.
things that we have no control over. I'm going to start by just identifying the things that we don't have any control over. So we don't have any control over being born a woman. If you're a girl, you have increased risk of breast cancer because you have, breasts. So you
Yeah.
got to have it. So, and I'm not saying men don't get breast cancer, but literally not at the same, rates as women. So another thing is what we kind of touched on already is age. So I haven't found the fountain of youth. If you do, let me know. But as we age, you're at increased risk.
Hmm.
And then I think the most troubling thing of all is hereditary. If you have a first degree relative, mother, grandmother, aunt, who, was affected by breast cancer, your risk increases. And there's nothing you can do about that. So those are things that, you can't change. No matter what you do, you can't change. But I have good news. There are a set of, factors that you can change. And what's good about these is there are things that we do every day. One of the biggest things is diet. And I think we use diet as the cure all, right? Diet
Hmm.
can fix so many illnesses and ailments. So I think it's
Hmm.
important to, consider your diet, and healthy, right? What's healthy? There's lots of references out there on how you can have a healthy diet. But one that's always mentioned in the literature is the Mediterranean diet. And for me, I just tell my patients in moderation. Anything you do, do in moderation. So don't do anything to excess, and create that balance. Lots of good resources out there. The DASH diet, CDC, My Plate, lots of information, about, what good nutrition looks like. Another thing that you can do to prevent your breast cancer risk is exercise. And I know it is hard to fit exercise in our busy schedules. Why? Because we're Americans and we do it all. We are busy, busy bodies. And it's whenever you can find the time to just do that self-love. And it really is self-love. It's taking that time out of your busy, busy schedule and saying, I'm gonna do this for me. And you
Mhm.
may not be doing it for you today, but you're doing it for your future self. You're doing it for your future self to prevent, diseases. In this instance, we're talking about breast cancer, but heart disease, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, the list goes on about the benefits of exercise. I mean, it's well documented. So find a friend, or if you're the friend that flakes or not, um, and choose a program. And really, it's just about taking that first step and committing. Weight management, so something that's modifiable, something that you can change, is obesity. Obesity increases your risk for breast cancer. So it's along with the exercise, but there's lots of things: the diet, the exercise, the weight management, all kind of working together. So I see you guys are sensing the trend here, right? So alcohol, alcohol intake. We
Woo.
talked about moderation. I'm not saying abstain indefinitely, but I am
Mhm.
saying that increased alcohol has been shown in the research to increase your risk for breast cancer. So I'm not trying to scare anybody off having that glass of wine, because there are, many benefits, to wine, and the liquor, having a good time and all that. I'm not saying that you take those things out of your life, YOLO. But I am saying that, there's increased risk, related to alcohol intake. And then the last thing is breast implants. So
Oh
breast
wow.
implants increases
Hmm.
your risk for breast cancer. So,
Wow.
and I think what was unique about this one, particular one with breast implants, is that not only did it increase your risk for breast cancer, but it's also been shown to cause a lymphoma. So now
Hmm.
you're introducing, your risk for two different types of cancers, with the breast implants.
Wow. I'm so glad you mentioned the breast implants because, as women, we have kids, our breasts begin to, they begin to sag a little bit. And then we try to get these mommy makeovers and we want to get our breasts done. But you don't hear too many plastic surgeons, telling women that, they'll have an increased risk of, getting breast cancer if they get these breast implants. They're just trying to sell this lifestyle and this picture to women, and I see more and more women getting breast implants
Mm-hmm.
at a young age, so that's really scary. I've even considered it, and now I'm like, wait, hold on, I haven't heard that before. So I'm loving this because we're learning something new. And another thing I want to go back to, because I hear this a lot, but I'm glad that you mentioned it, because sometimes we say things and the people are like, oh, it's just a myth. So breast cancer can be generational, so that's not a myth. That is true.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah.
It definitely has a genetic and a hereditary component. And I think the same way that you can inherit brown eyes from your mom or dad, blue eyes from your mom and dad, is the same way you inherit similar genes that code for diseases. So I tell, going back to my army days, I had some soldiers who were perfectly healthy. I mean, bodybuilders, people who hike, people who are eating right, people who are exercising as their job. I mean, these people are athletes, as a rule, and they're young and healthy and they have hypertension. And after
Wow.
we've eliminated all the other causes, drugs, diet, all these other things, it's purely because they have a genetic predisposition, right? My mom had it, my grandma had it, my dad had it, my grandpa had it. I have hypertension. And oftentimes they're medicated. And those are the times where you do everything right and you still, can't beat the risk. And that's kind of what we talked about, those things that are non-modifiable, right?
Mhm.
Even if you do everything good, you can work to decrease your risk, but there are some risk factors that are always with you.
Wow. Wow.
So
And then I want to
I'm
go
I'm
back
really
to,
glad that you brought up the myth.
yes.
I'm
Hmm.
really glad that you brought up the myth, because I did have three myths that I wanted to debunk for you guys today. So I want you to hold that thought, Shaquana. And I just want to talk about, things that I see, going around in social media and in little groups about what increases, your risk for breast cancer. And that is deodorant. Okay.
I've heard that one.
Now, there's been lots of talk
It's natural,
about
folks.
this all natural deodorant, aluminum free, and you're making your own in the kitchen. I'm not knocking you. All I'm saying is that the people who do research for a living the American Cancer Society, has done extensive research on the influence of deodorant and breast cancer. And so far, to date, there is no correlation. They have not found any evidence that any deodorant increases your risk for breast cancer. Okay, so that's one. The second one is bras. So it's been said that sometimes the bra, depending on how tight it is, can block that lymph flow, right? We have lymph in the axillary, like under the arms, those lymph nodes. It can block that and prevent toxins from, being flushed through our system. And it kind of just stays there under the arms, and that increases the risk. Again, American Cancer Society did tons and tons of research. They're the people that do this for a living. No correlation between wearing a bra and breast cancer. All right. And then the last one is, and this is a sensitive topic because, this is, sad, but miscarriages or abortions. So it has been said that if any of these things, either of those things ever happen to you, or you experience either of those things, that your risk for breast cancer increases. And I'm here to tell you that there is no correlation in the research that if you ever experience a miscarriage or an abortion, that your risk for breast cancer is increased. So I'm not trying to be funny, but you can wear deodorant, you can wear a bra, and if you happen to have experienced either of those things, you don't have increased risk.
Wow. Thank you for that. I feel like I'm on the Maury show. That was a lie. So all these things, and this is why it's important to have these type of podcasts, because there are a lot of people on social media saying a lot of things, and that's why I try to stay away from fields that I am not educated in, because when you hear things and then you begin to share them with others begin to believe those myths as well. So that's why I'm glad you debunked those 3 myths, because I've actually heard the deodorant one, because that's something that we say in the natural realm, all of us natural practitioners. I've heard it before. I see the posts online, and they speak about the type of deodorant that you use. It can increase your risk of breast cancer. So I'm so glad you said that is not true. So everybody can go to the store and buy the deodorant that they want to wear, and they don't have to worry about getting breast cancer.
Have you ever tried the natural deodorant?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. There's not too many deodorants that work for me. So
I'm going to say it nicely. I've not found it to be effective. So I'm not going to name name no brands. I'm just saying.
But also something that you said, and I always talk about this, so I want to go back to that. Nutrition. Because I strongly feel that nutrition can fix most health disorders, anything. Just have to be disciplined enough to follow a good diet, and I think a lot of people, they're not willing to be self-disciplined. They're not willing to put in the work. So it's just so much easier to eat what you want to eat and do what you want to do and live the type of lifestyle you want to live, and then expect to have, good results. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because you're actually the second healthcare professional that I've had on the podcast that have said that about nutrition and about exercise. Those were 2 of the correlating things that they say you can do to take preventative measures to prevent breast cancer and heart disease. So listeners, okay, let's work on loving ourselves more by watching what we put in our mouths, and, just appreciating our bodies more, because at the end of the day, you only get one body. Your body is your temple. Whatever you put in it and whatever you do to it is, that's how you're going to be able to live a long lasting life. As you get older, your body changes, everything changes as you get older. So you can't eat the things you used to eat. Like, I'm a big ice cream eater, and Lisa will tell you, ever since we've been friends, I love ice cream. But as I've gotten older, I can't eat it as much. My stomach started hurting. I started getting bubble guts. I'm not going to say I don't eat it, but I eat it in moderation. Like she said, everything has to be done in moderation. You can't just eat what you want to eat and then expect you to be as healthy as you used to be when you was a child. So, you get older, you do better. Okay. So another thing I want to ask you, this is our last question. So how may being diagnosed with breast cancer affect a woman's mental or emotional health?
So this is a really good question. And I say that because when I really looked up the numbers about how many women are affected by breast cancer, it was so large. It was so large. And it told me that 3.8 million breast cancer survivors are in the United States alone. I'm not talking about nationwide. I'm not talking about globally. I'm not talking about Earth. I'm talking about the US. One one place. 3.8 million breast cancer survivors. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think when we think about how our society is hardwired, cancer, it's a scary word. Like nothing about that word has a positive connotation. Like it's a negative connotation. And we associate it with severe illness. We associate it with death. Like a lot of people, when they hear the word cancer, they think of a death sentence. So, this can create feelings of fear, worry, anxiety. And, these feelings are even harder to overcome when you're starting from a place of negativity. Or if you lack, historical coping skills with how to effectively deal with challenging situations. So I think really just keeping a positive mindset and, you know, trying to fix the things that you can fix, right? The non modifiables, there's nothing to do about those. But there's a whole host of other things that you can do to contribute to decreasing your risk. Engaging your support system. Sometimes those are the people closest to you. Sometimes those are the people on the periphery. And sometimes you have to go to external sources like, local
Yeah.
support groups. And you make a group of friends that you never knew you needed. So I think for me, just kind of recognizing the space that you're in, when you get the diagnosis and, checking where my feelings are coming from and trying to just spin everything positively. I think so many times when you see people who are diagnosed with cancer, they turn into fighters, like people who were always so passive. They're now fighting for their lives, and they learn a whole new side of themselves. And I really wanted to kick it back to you because I know that this is where you live, right? You connect the dots about how we can just be mentally fit. And when we're thinking about fear, anxiety, and worry, outside of the positive mindset, I know that you had, something to share about, how people can just address those feelings, best.
So what I would say is, and I'm gonna piggyback on what you said, coping, because the coping mechanisms, I would usually use that term, but when it comes to being in a situation where it's like your life is at stake, things change for you mentally, emotionally. So you can go from this person who's, used to knowing how to manage their emotions. They know how to respond. They have great coping mechanisms. They have an awesome support system. But somehow when your life is at stake, things change. It's kind of like when you're watching that scary movie and the scary guy's chasing you, and then you see the woman just fall on the ground. Everybody's like, get off the ground, get up. But things change when you're in the heat of the moment. And I think about, because I had a friend that I was in college with, really, really close to, and she actually passed away, for breast cancer. And I just remember being so upset, emotionally. I just felt like, why did she have to die? Like of all the people that survived from cancer, like why couldn't she survive? She had survived once and then it came, but it was just a lot. And it was a lot on me emotionally. And it wasn't even myself that was diagnosed with breast cancer. So
Mhm.
when you think about coping, like I said, what I would say is the support system to me would be the most important, because in the moment where you cannot hold those emotions together, you need somebody around you to help you. You're going to need somebody to lean on. You're going to need that extra shoulder. Group therapy is awesome. They have a lot of different support groups for people that are
Mhm.
diagnosed with things like breast cancer. And, I think support groups are really awesome because you're in these groups with other people that look just like you, their life is in danger just like you. Something that I
Mhm.
noticed too, when people go through things, we tend to feel like it's just me. why is that happening to me? And nobody else is going through this. I'm all alone. And that's normally, the first state of mind that you go into, like, it's just me. It's just me. Why me? Why me? So this is why I think support groups are really important. There are actually a lot of support groups around the community. It's a lot of resources that people are not aware of, but a support group for me, I feel, would be the most effective. And that ties into your support system. So you need your family around you, your loved ones around you. If you have children, you will want to spend more time with your children. And it's not to say that you're going to die and you're preparing to die, but you want to have the things that are closest to you in that moment so you can feel loved and appreciated, because these are some of the things that tend to fade away when we go through things, right? So initially the mind says, it goes into fear. That's the initial, emotion that you're feeling. You're like, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Like, so now it goes from fear to anxiety to panic. Okay. So you're just going through so many different emotions at once. And then it depends on how that diagnosis changed. Let's say you go to the doctor and the doctor is saying that it's progressing. So now you can go from fear to anxiety to panic until you can go into a deep depression. You can begin to lose hope. So there's so many different stages. And that's why I think a support system is really important, to have someone around you that can recognize when you're shifting. Because when you're transitioning, a lot of times in mental health, you can go from 0 to 100 quick. And that's why so many people live with depression and they live with anxiety, and they're undiagnosed because they've been living in that mode for so long. They don't even realize, that they're going through depression or they're living with anxiety. So I think it's important to have that support system around you, so someone can say, hey, Shaquana, I noticed that on Monday you were kind of, you were feeling good, but today you're a little all over the place. Someone can kind of see when you're beginning to shift from 0 to 20, and that could kind of help you manage those emotions. I definitely feel that you need a support system to help you manage the emotions, because it's going to be hard to do it alone. And then especially, like I said, it depends on how that diagnosis may be changing, because for some people they get better and it never comes back. But then, like I said, my friend, she got better, but then it came back and it was worse. And it was like, oh my gosh. So, like the emotions went from, fear, anxiety, panic, happy, depressed, sad, it's just so much. And I also would recommend that you seek therapy as well. I know a lot of us, especially depending on your cultural background, we have, spirituality that we believe in God. And some of us, we feel that that's the only thing that we can lean on. But God gives you the opportunity to choose resources. That's why he gave us these gifts and these talents, so we can be able to share them with other people. So I feel that therapy is something that, although in the African-American community is shunned upon, but therapy is something that I recommend for all people to go to, especially when you're going through something like this. You definitely want to be linked to a therapist, someone that can help you and can help you with, manage your emotions during this time.
Yeah, see, I knew you would know. And I have one resource for everybody out there tonight. If you or your loved one is affected by, breast cancer or any type of cancer, the American Cancer Society has a Reach to Recovery program. And that's the American Cancer Society. And it's the Reach to Recovery program. And that's a support group. And you can access that directly on their website.
Okay, that's Reach to Recovery. I'm going to put that in the comments. So everyone that's watching live on Facebook, you can Google that and you can look it up. And if you know anyone that's suffering from breast cancer and they need this support, they can go online. Reach to Recovery.
American Cancer Society, Reach to Recovery. And most of the statistics tonight came from ACS, American Cancer Society. And I chose that resource because it's very accessible. It's public. Anybody can go and get the information, get the support that they need. And there's lots that we really couldn't even get into tonight. But there's lots of information. You can be reading it for days. They are so detailed. So if you're interested, there's definitely lots of, research for you to empower yourself.
Awesome. So Dr. Graham, so tell everyone how they can keep in contact with you. Tell everyone where they can find your practice.
So we are located in Greensboro, North Carolina, And you can find us. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we'll, post the handles through Shaquana's information here, her site, and we'll get that to her. We have a website, and it's www.ih the number four well.com, and that has all of our social media as well. And I'm just going to use that as a segue to kind of talk about what we do at Integrity Health for Wellness. We are a direct primary care clinic, and that can easily be compared to concierge medicine. So if you think of a private doctor for the super wealthy, that's what we do. We just do it at affordable prices. And we provide the same personalized care and attention for probably less than your cell phone bill per month. And our goal is to just treat our members, how we want to be treated. Superior customer service, and we have an actionable healthcare plan. So from day one, we do a full head to toe assessment, including lab work, and we create a plan for your health and wellness. And we action that plan together. We have a nutritionist on staff, and we have a physical trainer on staff. All of our services focus around increasing your knowledge about diet, nutrition, increasing your ability to exercise. So by the time you leave us, we hope that you're healthier and more knowledgeable about how to have a healthy lifestyle. We don't expect our patients to stay with us forever, but we do expect them to leave with more knowledge than they came.
Awesome, Dr. Graham. So I thank you for joining us, you guys, and everyone that's on the podcast tonight. It will be available on Spotify or Apple. Be sure to download, click like, and share with your friends. And again, Dr. Graham, we thank you for coming in and sharing all of your expert knowledge. We really appreciate it. Is there anything else you would like to add before we go?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure as always. And, come October, everybody wear your pink.
All right. So thank you guys for joining. Have a great night.